Okay, day 134, kind of morphing the title to How to Catch a Spy to really make it really obvious for the Trump folks that this is how to actually solve the wiretap. When you're trying to catch a spy, you look for people who have given classified information to outsiders before for their own personal profit, much like the Libya and Syria information given to Muslim Brotherhood and training provided through OTPOR. The other thing you do is you look for people with top secret clearance, and you look for White House visa meetings where people at the highest levels are being cleared through for international travel. You look for wiretaps. You look for people who've wiretapped political opponents before for political figures, like Andrew McCabe has done many times for Hillary Clinton. And you look for tragedies, things that have gone wrong where there was information leaks and so forth. And then you also look for foreign nationals. Usually the people that are spies that are trying to undermine your country are not from your country. They're usually from other countries. So let's take these one by one. First thing we'll do is look at top secret clearance. We'll look and see who had top secret clearance and who had White House visits. That's the first thing that Sean Spicer and everyone should do. Oh, by the way, I'd like to send this again. Try Chernovich again. And try Baked Alaska again. Chernovich, they immediately send a troll out every time I try to reach him and get in a fight over something, some spat to take his mind off of it. So try again. And then the other thing is Mark Levine Show, all one word, Mark Levine Show, at Mark Levine Show. He's the guy who did the kind of the rundown for Trump on all the different publications on the wiretapping. So let's try Mark Levine on this one. So anyway, these foreign nationals with top secret clearance that have had White House visa visits. Now, this isn't in any way saying anything about Muslims or anything like that. We're just looking at people who've top secret clearance with White House visits to arrange visas with visa lawyers. When we get down to that group, you're going to find it's a small group. There's going to be one group for sure that's called the Awan brothers, and they're going to be working for these 31 different Democratic staffers on the Hill. We've got to look now for staffers who have had a bad history of corruption. Now, the crew, the watchdog group, names this gentleman, Greg Meeks, the most corrupt member of Congress. So again, where there's smoke, there's fire. This is for ethics in Washington. The crew is for the watchdog of ethics in Washington. You also have to look at Kislyak, because Kislyak is the one who negotiated a lot of these deals. He went to the White House for 6 uranium meetings, and he was also the key broker in the Iran deal, in meeting with Iran, since the White House wasn't meeting directly with Iran. So, and then you have to look at other scandals like the DNC scandal and so forth. And then finally, you have to look at these burglaries. If there's burglaries on Capitol Hill, you have to look into those and go to the cameras and so forth and see who's there. So that's this situation where people are entering secure facilities. You have to look at who has access to the top committees, the security committees. You have to look who's on those committees and which staffers are working for them. And that's going to be the Awan brothers. That's going to be Andre Carson for this emerging threat subcommittee, which is the most sensitive committee. You have to look at people who had external servers, people who stole laptops and hard drives and thumb drives from congressional offices. You have to look at phone records. You have to look at GPS for all these people. Drill down on the server logs, when they logged in, so forth, what information they transferred. And you also have to look with people who have ties to previous criminals. This is a tie to an Iranian, Iraqi kind of double agent, counter agent, and he also has ties to Kislyak in terms of negotiating for the Iran nuclear deal. So again, Kislyak has to be looked at, those meetings. You also look for financial anomalies, normally people being paid more than they should. Here you have the three Awan brothers being paid 2.5 to 3 times what their peers in the House are being paid. You also have to look at their movements back and forth between other countries and different spots for entertainment, let's say. So, for instance, you have to look at things like shell companies. Are they involved in several companies outside of their work, full-time work at the House of Representatives? Yes, they're running car dealerships and so forth, seemingly full-time. Look at their meetings with people from other countries, especially in oil and defense. Okay, Look at the business records for these shell companies that have been set up. It's a way of funneling money. It's traditionally a way of funneling money. Then you also have to look at connections to other private servers. This very valuable information at the house is going to be probably transferred to people who have sold this or used this information in the past for their own financial gain, like Hillary's server and Huma's server. The easiest way to do that without violating any secrets is to publish the metadata of the 19 different people at the State Department that were sending this information around and see if there's any connection to these servers. These emails belong to the people of the United States anyway from the Federal Records Act. So slow-footing their review is in the worst interest of the United States, especially slow-footing the release of the metadata. Okay, recusing yourself, if your name's Andrew McCabe, from these investigations of Hillary, Huma, and this Capitol Hill investigation is also something that would be interesting. And finally, you have to look at previous countries involved with drug routes and money laundering. Here we have Amjad Awan, who was involved with BCCI and created a fake bank or a pass-through bank in Washington, D.C. And he has long ties with Mark Rich, known money launderer and criminal and so forth, and ties to Pablo Escobar, Manuel Noriega, and Mossack Fonseca. So you have to look for these patterns and say, well, Pakistan, I'm sorry, just like the travel ban, is going to be on the list because of their history in drug running. That's my summary.